Flips on Instagram with a Z. Pothead Picker on X. Flips and Giggles on Facebook, and I think that's it. And then Flips and Giggles on Whatnot, and I just started Flips and Giggles on eBay, I should say, too. I guess I've never said that on the show, that's my eBay store. I guess that's probably an error on my part. I might have said it once or twice, but Flips and Giggles is the eBay page, store, whatever you want to call it. A lot to talk about today. It's been over a week since the last episode came out. I think over a week. I don't know. I can't even keep track. Went on a little road trip this past weekend, so I didn't really have too much time to do a podcast last week. Plus, I didn't really have a ton to talk about, but a lot has happened since then. So it's still like taking forever to get into yard sale season where I live. I came back from this road trip thinking like, oh, there'll be at least a few yard sales. There's like one or two. There's this church sale that does it every year, and it's kind of hit or miss, you know. You got to get there early because it fills up. There's like a huge line. So last year I got there early, and there was like these two old ladies in front of me, and they had got there early by accident. Like, they weren't just trying to be there hella early. They thought it started at like the other time, so they were like confused as to why nobody was in there yet. So I was like, oh no, you're just early. So like, oh, I guess we're first in line. Like, yeah, I guess so, bitch. But anyway, that sale's this weekend, so I'm hoping that one's good. I did really well on the road trip. As you can see, I have stuff piled up behind me. Did some thrifting, did some yard sales. Thrift stores, yeah, I did okay at one thrift store, but like, yeah, thrift stores are just like, have become just, unless you're there for hours on end, there's really, or you have like a good honey hole, it's really like tough. That's why I'm glad I got in like volunteering at a thrift store. And it took me a while. Like, I've been asking for a long time, and like the opportunity just kind of arose. I should be going to help them soon set up too. I'm hoping. I might send them a text tomorrow and be like, hey, I'm available to help if you need any help. I don't know why I just did a weird Eastern European. Anyway, forget it. Forget that just happened. So yeah, I have shit in my face. Sorry. Yeah, I got a speeding ticket like 30 minutes into the road trip. That was really annoying. Like 5:40 in the morning, and he gave me two different infractions, but he only like said anything about one, so I have no idea what the other one even means. It says something about the license plate, which I don't know. I mean, we have a license plate on both sides in this state, and my license plate should be good. So I'm not sure what he's talking about. I don't know if I have to get a new registration, but usually they send that in the mail. I don't know. So, so that wasn't explained to me. And then he put it down that it was estimated. So I don't know. They did say that he used LiDAR, which I don't think is as reliable as radar. But like, yeah, there was a lot of traffic. So, and I was like, I had to speed up to go. I was speeding up to go past a car. You know what I mean? So like, the other cars were going way faster than me. So somehow I just got singled out. I don't know how fast I was going. It was like early in the morning. You know what I mean? It was like dark out still, and I was just kind of going with the flow of traffic. But let's just go with, I don't know how fast I was going. Anyway, so yeah, that's how it started. But yeah, and then after that it was pretty much smooth sailing. They do have like, I don't know, I've just kind of driving through all the different places. They have like these signs that say aircraft or speed monitor by aircraft and shit now. And like, I looked it up. It says it's like, like small Cessnas or like helicopters. And we did see one helicopter like hovering over, but that was kind of weird. And supposedly it measures it, how long it takes you to get from like one point to the next. So it's like you have to be on that road for X. So it's very bizarre. I don't know how it works. So hopefully we don't get any like surprise tickets in the mail being like, yeah, you fucking were caught speeding in this zone that like you didn't know was being recorded or whatever. So, but yeah, hit some yard sales. The first day we stopped in Virginia, and my buddy's kid met up with us and his friend, and we went to a thrift store. So I grabbed a couple T-shirts. There's a lot of like young kids in there, like rifling through the T-shirts. But I still managed to find like some good stuff. I found like an older Doctor Who T-shirt with like the tag attached, not like the screen press whatever tags. So that was pretty good. And then a few other T-shirts that were all right. Like didn't pay a ton of money. And then like one of the kids that were with us, the younger guys, grabbed these ugly ass shoes, and were like, "Hey, these sell for a certain amount of money." So I was like, "All right, fine." I took his word for it. I haven't looked them up yet. We'll see. Hopefully they do. They're like they were Adidas, and they're like one of those ugly shoes that like you're like, "Oh, these might be worth some money." They're not Yeezys. I already checked, but and then yeah, but I got a bunch of T-shirts and then some other things, and then it was mostly clothes that I ended up getting, just because that's all I like ended up finding. So that was the first day we went to that thrift store, grabbed a bunch of stuff, and then on the next day, we drove from Virginia to North Carolina, and stayed in North Carolina, and hit up a couple thrift stores there, but like didn't really grab anything from the thrift stores. But on Saturday, there was like, a few sales posted, and then I saw one sign for a sale. And so I went to a couple of the sales that were posted, and they started at like 7. So I got to one at like 7:15, and there was only like, it was supposed to be like a community-wide sale, and there was only one person kind of partially set up, and a lot of their stuff didn't look like stuff I was interested in. I asked my usual questions, and then drove through the neighborhood, and it was just, there was one other lady getting set up, so I stopped and talked to her, and she was like, had a bunch of like decor, like, nothing that I'd be interested in. So then I wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I leave there, and I'm like, all right, so there's a couple other sales starting like in the same section of a town, so I'll go over there. So I go to this other sale, and this guy is they're like mostly set up, and I was like, all right, sweet. Like, so I got out, I was like, hey, you guys open? The guy's like, yeah, he's like talking to me with a southern accent and shit, and I was like, oh. So I'm looking through his stuff, and I'm like, I forget what I saw, but I was like, oh, do you have any like old T-shirts or anything like that? And he's like, yeah, I got some bags over here. Like, it's not like vintage, but it's like older. He's telling me how he's like was gonna sell them on eBay and this, that, and the other. So I'm like, I'm like getting ready for this like crazy price. So I found some like brand new Duluth trading like tank tops. So I found a few of those. So those go for a few bucks. I might lot them up just to do a quick sale. But then I found so then he's like, oh, here's some old Harley t-shirts. He's like, they're not like vintage, but from like the 90s. So I was like, all right. So there's one that's like pretty sweet. It's probably going to be like $80 to $100 that I'll get for it. It's like a 1998 like Halloween with Frankenstein riding a Harley on it. So like, yeah, the artwork on that's really cool. No like crazy Harley stuff, but they're all like, for the the price I ended up paying. So there was about, I think 13 or something of those, and then he had some old Coca-Cola sweatshirts. And what else was there? There's like an old Hard Rock Cafe, like a really nice condition Myrtle Beach one. It's vintage. So all in all, he's like, so I'm like, I'm getting ready for like the big price, and I was shooting the shit with him the whole time. And so he's like, I don't know, how about 15? He says 15. Is that all right? And I could have probably been like, would you do 10? But I was like, yeah, sure, 15's fine. So that ended up working out. So I got all that stuff for 15, and like obviously it doesn't take up a ton of space in the car. So then we kept going. I kept going to another sale. Which sale was that? So there was a couple duds. I drove around for a little bit, and there was like, I found a sign, I followed it, couldn't find the sale. I found another sign, followed it, couldn't find the sale. And these were on like dead ends. So I'm like, okay, then these are like old signs. And one I swore had just popped up. So then I went to another sale. And what the fuck did I get there? Oh, and then I talked to this lady. This was the sign that I had found. And she's like, is there anything you're looking for? And I love when people do that, because then I can just be like, this. And so she goes, yeah, I might have some like old toys, my husband's. So she goes in, she brings out a couple bags of like Power Rangers, and like it was mostly Power Rangers and Beast Wars with a couple miscellaneous things mixed in. And so I'm like, all right. And she's like, she has like 2 bags of them, and I'm like, and I know that like the Power Ranger stuff isn't crazy valuable. I know like, I had a somewhat idea, and there was like, 2 full bags. So I figured I'd offer like 25. So she's like, oh, well, I have to talk to my husband, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, are you going to be in town for a little bit? So I was like, yeah. So she like, takes my number and then calls me back shortly after. So I was like, all right, I'll swing. So she's like, yeah, my husband said he'll take the 25 for, the 2 bags of stuff. So I drive back over there, and I pick the stuff up, asked if they have any other stuff, that they're like that. And she's like, oh, no, not at the moment. They had other bags of toys, but it wasn't anything like, they weren't full. It was just like a couple toys in them. One was Batman, and those toys aren't, the villains go for a little bit. You can lot them up and they'll sell quick. Like I sell the villains all the time for quick money. But yeah, there was like a bunch of Power Ranger villains and some figures. And then there was like 3 of the little, I didn't even know they had made these, but they were like little play sets, like Polly Pocket size mini play sets made out of the little morphers, the little fucking things that they hold, and they go, it's morphin' time. And so yeah, that was a pretty cool, I got a little bit of everything. And then there was another sale that was like, I was going to wrap it up. I was going to drive. There was like a sale. It was probably equidistant. There was like a community sale, and then there was like another sale that was just kind of like, I could tell on the map it was in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, I'm going to go to the one that's in the middle of nowhere, and like, there's probably has some good shit there. So I drove out there, and I got some vintage UNC sweatshirts. I got a pair of Gucci sunglasses, a pair of Tiffany sunglasses. I got, what else did I get? A couple other things there. Oh, like a big Gemmy, I forget how you say it. Like a UNC Gemmy thing. It's still in the package, but I don't think it works. I tried pressing the button. I don't know if there's like a way to get it to work, but yeah, that, I got to sell it for parts, but in the box, you know what I mean? So we'll see how much that goes for. Typically that one looked like it was going for like around 100. There was none listed, so we'll see. And then yeah, I just got a couple of like other little miscellaneous UNC stuff. So it was a pretty good day of like, I didn't spend a ton of money. You know, I'm trying to think. I feel like I got some more stuff that I'm forgetting. Let me see. No, I think that's it. But yeah. So now I'm just trying to get caught up. After I do this podcast, I got to do the taxes still. I just still didn't get to it. I was like, on the road, the kids were just like, they were good, but just like, they're constantly like, can I have this? Can I have this? Can we do this? Can we do this? Can we do this? So it's hard to like pull out all the receipts and go through them. So I was like, I'll just do it when I get back. Fuck it. So that's next on the agenda. Yeah, I need to get better organized with it. I have it all organized. It's just like going through it and going through it and figuring it out. It's just a pain in the ass. So, that's where I'm at. And yeah, I did. The yard sale did help. It cleared out a lot of stuff, so that was a good thing. It got rid of like a ton of stuff and cleared, But now I just have to organize. So the dude at the post office gave me this big Amazon bag a while back, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know if you can use this." And I never knew what to do with it, and so I was just throwing yard sale stuff in it, and then I just dragged it out for the yard sale. But I threw clothes in it during the yard sale, so I was like, "Oh, I can just use this for clothes." So it works a little bit better now, and I just have to, go through and put the stuff that needs to go in there, and then I have more space to fill up everything else, if that makes sense. But my clothes sales have been going. I got a Depop account, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna sell some stuff on Depop to try and I'll get into the whole eBay situation that I had happen recently, and then I'll get into that in a minute. So yeah, I had some issues with eBay recently, and I was like, all right, well, I need to just like expand more. So I'm already doing like Whatnot. So I'm gonna try to get better about doing more Whatnot shows. I can get better at them because right now I'm not good at them. Like I can do a podcast like this, no problem. But then once it's like live and there's people, I'm like, for some reason, it's difficult to do for me. I don't know why. I got to get better at it. So yeah, I want to try to do like 2 of those a month. Just so I'm not as reliant on eBay. So if shit happens with eBay again, I'll have other avenues of revenue. So yeah, I guess I'll just get into that part. So I right before we were going to leave, like literally it was like the day before we were going. It was like, so we were leaving on Thursday. It was Tuesday evening. So we checked the mail at like whatever time, like the mail came in the afternoon. So it was like 3:30 or something. I checked the mail, and it was like, no, it wasn't even the mail. This was a different thing. Sorry, I'll get into that. This was a different thing. This is a different thing altogether. So I get a message from eBay like that my payouts are on hold. This is on Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday. And it's like, oh, your payouts are on hold. And then it says that I've got to submit a letter 147C from the IRS. So I'm like, okay. And it's like, so I call the IRS and like, so they're like, oh, we can fax it to you, but you have to be at the fax to receive it. So I'm like, all right, well, I don't have a fax machine. I should have looked it up before, but you can basically like pay to have a fax. So there was one thing that was like doing a trial. It was like, oh, you can do a tax can have a tax phone number or something for $5 for the first month, which I gotta actually cancel that shit after this. And so initially I had them send me the letter, but it was going to take 10 days. And then so my payments would be on hold for at least 10 days. And so I was like, all right, well, sorry. I was like, all right, I'll just, pay the $5, get the fax number, get it faxed to me, submit it, and hopefully it'll get me, my payouts rolling. So I submit it, nothing happens. I wait a little while. So then the next day I called them. I'm like, hey, I just want to know how long, I want to make sure, A, that you got the document right, and B, I just want to know how long. They're like, oh, it should take 24 to 48 hours. So then a few days go by, and I'm like, all right, this is crazy. They've just got my funds on hold. There was no hey, you need to get this in or by a certain date. It was just boom, your funds are on hold. And so I submit it, and then I'm like, okay, this is crazy. As quickly as they shut my money off, they should be able to turn that shit right back on. So I just kept calling. I'm like, I'm going to call every day until they tell me, because nobody was telling me anything. They were just like, yep, it should take 24 hours. I'm like, all right, well, you keep saying 24 hours. I want to get paid for doing this. And I kept asking, would you do your job if you weren't getting paid? Would you do your job if you weren't getting paid? Blah, blah, blah. So I called one time and I was like, hey, can I escalate to a supervisor? And they were like, well, what is this regarding? And I was like, no. I'm not going to tell you. I was like, I'd rather talk to a supervisor about this. And they were like, well, sir, you have to give me a reason, blah, blah, blah. And they patched me through. So I tried that again the next day, and this guy's like, no. And he would not patch me through. And so he's like, and he had called me on an international number. So I'm like, that's strange. Because I didn't answer for them one time because it was an international number. And I was like, that's why is an international number called? So I answer it. So as I'm talking to him, I was like, why are you guys calling me from an international number? He's like, oh, because this is an international number. And I go, well, why is that? He goes, because it's outsourcing. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, I said something to the effect of I was like, oh, I'd wish we'd stop doing that. Just because they weren't it wasn't anything about anything. He said something he's like, I wouldn't say anything like that again because it could be construed as racist. And I'm like, well, first of all, it wouldn't be racist because I wasn't saying anything about your race. It would be more wouldn't it be xenophobic or something? I don't know. It's about his nationality. I don't fucking know. But anyway, I'm like obviously it's if you don't give a fuck about what, they literally just don't do anything. When you call the customer service, if you don't escalate to a manager, they don't do anything. They will refuse to do anything. You have to call and talk to a supervisor. Otherwise, they will not do anything for you. And even then, they don't always transfer you to a supervisor. So it's what the and then you get to a supervisor and it's somebody that's, not for nothing, you can tell that they're in the U.S. You know what I mean? It's you can tell by their dialect that they're from the U.S. And then those people are usually at least, they give you a little bit more of an explanation and are a little bit more willing to help. But it's the other people treat you like you're a fucking criminal. It's dude, this is how you make your money. I pay for you to be outsourced. You know what I mean? I pay store fees for your fucking ass to get outsourced and fucking fees on every sale and fucking nonsense. It's that pays for you to do your stupid fucking bullshit. So yeah. It was very frustrating. There was one guy who was just you could tell he's just a black dude. He wasn't trying to do the voice of the customer service voice. And he just came on and he was like, he was the supervisor too. And he was just like, yeah, my friend talked to you yesterday. And I was like, wait, your friend? He's like, yeah. And he said the wrong name because he had just said the right, or I forget how I knew the chick's name or whatever. But he's like, yeah. And then he's like, no. He's like, I mean Lydia told you that yesterday that she was going to look into it, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah. And she told me to call back if, like, I didn't hear from her. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do? And I was just like, I don't look into it. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he just, like, straight up refused to help me. I was like, okay. And then I, like, he immediately, like, started to hang up on me. I was just like, oh, this motherfucker. I was so annoyed. But yeah, it was just like, this is how I get fucking paid. And I was like, would you want to do your job if you weren't getting paid? And none of them would answer it. None of them would say, well, no, of course not. You know what I mean? Like, because you wouldn't be answering the phone if you weren't getting paid. Like, you know what I mean? So, and initially I called and I was like, well, like, because it was right before I was leaving. So I'm like trying to scramble to figure this out. And I'm on the phone with them. And she's just like, yeah, like, sir, you like literally, like, you could tell she was fucking super young. And the young people do this weird thing. And I've noticed it more and more now. Like, and they do it on the phone. I don't really get into it too much in person just because people usually, are less confrontational. On the phone, they just, like, get these fucking big brass balls. But, like, this girl was it happened when I was talking to, when I was trying to deal with the whole thing when my, like, payment didn't go through with the LLC license and shit. And I was talking to a customer service rep then, and you could tell they were super young, and they did the same thing as this girl, where they're saying something, but it sounds like they're about to laugh. And it's like when it's like during something uncomfortable. And so I had to say something, because at this point I'm just like, I think I said this the last time. It's like, if I know I'm not going to get any help at this point, I'm just going to, like, waste your time, or I'm going to, like, So she was, like, doing that whole thing where she was just, like, kind of like, like, always sounding like she was on the verge of, like, cracking up, like. And so I was like, you're doing this thing where you sound like you're about to laugh, but you're not laughing. It's kind of uncomfortable. She goes, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was doing that. And I was just like, well, I was like, it's not. I was like, have you never had, like, an uncomfortable conversation? I was like, because it's not uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable, like, but, like, now it is. You know what I mean? Like, because now it's distracting me. Because she's done it several times at this point, that to the point where I felt like the need to call her out. I'm just like, have you never had an uncomfortable conversation? Like, why? I almost did, like, the thing where I was like, do you young people, like, the fuck is up with you young people? Like, y'all fucking socially awkward. It's just like, so she's like, well, no, I've had an uncomfortable conversation. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it didn't get anywhere with their customer service. So then finally I'm like, I've given up, and I'm just like, I tagged them on fucking the thing. I reach out to them on the social media page. Like, not, I know what it's called. It was on X, but, like, that's what it is, like the social media assistant or whatever. And so I reached out there, and that got me nowhere. And so then finally I was like, all right, well, fuck it. I'll just make a Depop store, and I'll start listing on there, and, like, hopefully I can get some sales on there. And I don't know. I mean, obviously it's probably not going to get paid out as quickly as eBay. So I, like, posted on my Instagram, and I was like leaving, and I tagged eBay. I was like, or taking my clothes off of at eBay and then moving them over to, this at Depop store, blah, blah, blah. Follow me on there. And I mean, obviously, I think it just probably took forever. And it's just like, instead of just being like, hey, just take, like, because the reason I was concerned is because one person told me that there was an actual issue. So then I call back and the dude's like acting like I'm a fucking idiot. And he's like, yeah, Lydia told you that shit. It's like, no, Lydia told me there was an issue and she was like looking into it and to call back. And I'm doing what I was supposed to do and you're being a fucking dick. But you can't say that, of course. You know what I mean? They want you to say that. They would love nothing more than for you to say that. But I never do. I never cross that line because I'm never that mad about it. You can't call mad because that's when you start cursing and then they just hang up on you. Or worse, they just fucking close your account and like, you're a problem. So if there's no like evidence of me ever cursing and if I'm just like, you know, irritating, but it's like it's like just get better customer service. It's so infuriating that like as a seller you're treated like a fucking scam artist. And it's like, how, like what what is going on? I'm trying to like sell stuff for you and then I'm wasting my time doing this nonsense. So then it's like I'm not making money for eBay. And I said that to the lady. I was like, I was like, oh, so like I can't sell while this is. She was like, no, you can sell. And then she was like trying to prove a point. And she's like, oh, so yeah, you literally just went from like, oh, I'm not going to be getting paid to like, oh, I can't sell. And I was like, well, yeah, like the two kind of go hand in hand. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, of course I'm curious if I can sell. Like, what are you, fucking stupid? Like, and so yeah. And so I posted that, and then like a few hours later, magically, it just my payments were back on. And I immediately took as much money out as I could. I was like, I fucking hate that you guys can just shut this off. It's so fucking sketchy. And the chick on the phone was trying to be like, oh, well, the government sent us some shit. Blah, 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 blah. It was nice. So, yeah. And then one guy bought like a drum machine. It was not even like a drum machine. It's just like a little shitty Kawasaki. I think that's the brand. Yeah, I think Kawasaki made like music things. It was like a little Kawasaki brand drum pad, electronic drum pad. And so like this guy like is buying it from me and he was being legitimately serious. You could tell he was like kind of low IQ, not like special, but like you just tell he was just like a low IQ dude. And he's just like, yeah, is this, you know, do you think does this keep your kids quiet? Like, does it keep them like occupied? Does it keep them quiet? I'm like, yeah, the drum pad keeps my toddlers quiet. Like, no, they would be banging on the shit out of it. You know what I mean? Like, they would be banging on it with the fucking plastic stick. And then electronic noise would be coming out of it as well. So, like, what the fuck do you think? Do you really think that it's going to keep them quiet? Or is it going to make a ton of fucking noise? So yeah. It's, always interesting to see the people that come through. I missed some of my regulars. Some of my regulars didn't come through, and then there's a couple that came through. And then there was this one guy in the area who buys like toys off me and shit. So he came by towards the end and bought some shit. So yeah, all in all, it was good. I cleared a bunch of shit out, and then I took it to Savers. There's two Savers near me. One doesn't take shit, and the other one takes everything. So I go to the one that takes everything, get the coupon, and then go over to the one that doesn't take shit because they have better standards, and then and I shop there with my coupon. But I dropped a bunch of shit off that we've just been trying to get rid of for a little bit. And yeah, got rid of all of the yard sale stuff in less than a weekend. And it was done. And so yeah, then right before we left, it was like, so there's a lot of shit. It's just, it never ends. Like when you run a business, it's just constantly putting out fucking fires on top of like all the other shit that I have to do, like school work, dad work, husband work. It just never ends. And so I get a letter from UPS, and I'm like, oh, man. And it's like an official UPS letter, and it's got my account number. So I like log in. Or I try to log in. I can't remember my password, but I know it's my account number. And so I log in, and so I'm like, so then I'm thinking to myself, because I'm like, if it was through eBay, then like, you know, I wouldn't be getting the charges this way. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be getting it through my UPS account. This would be if I shipped something personally through the UPS account, which I haven't shipped anything through my UPS account. The only thing I've used my UPS account for is to get free shipping labels. There's a way to get free shipping labels, as I've talked about before. I got that from, well, he was the NC Picker back then, but I think he goes by ADH Dave now. But yeah, that was his little tip he had on a YouTube video. Anyway, so I've never actually shipped anything from that account. It's just from that. So we're on the road, and I'm like, I got to call about this. And like, you know, I'm fully expecting to be on hold, to have to deal with a bunch of fucking back and forth nonsense. So call up, and they're like, you know, hi, how can we help you? Blah, 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 blah. So I tell them the deal. I'm like, yeah, it says that I shipped 2 packages through you guys, and it says I have to pay $118. I was like, I don't think I've ever shipped anything through this account. So she goes, oh, well, let me take a look. And she comes back. She goes, oh, I'm sorry that you are having this issue, that you didn't send these packages. I'm going to go ahead and take care of this, so you don't have to do anything. You don't have to pay for anything. Stay on hold for a second while I take care of this. And then she just like goes away, and I'm like fully expecting her to be like, come back and be like, hey, I need your social security number. Like, oh, this turns out this was a scam. But then she comes back, she goes, okay, you're all set. You don't have to do anything. Is there anything else I can help you with today? And I go, no, that's it. She goes, okay, you're good. See you later. She just took the charges off. I was like, what the fuck? She didn't even like ask me any questions. Didn't like, no follow up. I was like, hey, I'm not going to argue with it. My wife's like, you should follow up on that and make sure that you're not going to get any fucking bills in the mail for like this crazy amount of money. So, but I have no idea what it was from. So apparently it wasn't legitimate, and they could tell it wasn't legitimate, because she got rid of it like instantly without having any issues. So that never fucking happens. And of course it was right before vacation, so I'm like, oh fuck, here's another like charge when I don't have my fucking thing. So it's been fun. Oh yeah, so we went down to North Carolina. There was like this little strip of like houses, and I didn't realize that like they all were businesses. They all looked like, you know, just like residential areas. And so as we were driving down there was this one house that had like pictures of their family on the outside, like portraits. And I was like, wait, it's like, is that like a Southern thing, like putting portraits of your family on the outside of your house? I was so fucking flabbergasted. So we were driving by, and I kept trying to like remember where it was. So finally I figured it out again, and I saw the pictures again. I was like, oh, there it is. So I was like so focused on the pictures. So once I knew where it was, I'm like trying to show my wife, and we pull up and I see it. And then I realized, I was like, oh, in the front lawn. So I was so busy looking at the pictures, there's a sign that says like that it's a portrait studio. So that was just like stock photos, or like photos of their clients, I guess. I was like, damn, why would you want to announce it? Like, your daughter lives here. You know what I mean? Like, you have a pretty teenage daughter, and you're like, here you go, creepos. Here's my daughter. Like, she lives right here. So I thought that was very strange. And then when I was going to the art sales, because it was so early. Well, it wasn't so early, but like it was like 6:30 in the morning when I left. But it was a lot darker in the morning, so it was like darker until probably like 7:30. So it was like from like 6:30 to 7:30. I was driving around. It was pretty much pitch black, and they had like all these blue lights in their light bulbs, and I kept seeing it as I was driving towards like going to the art sales and shit. It's very fucking hard to drive. Like they were very distracting, and like they like kind of like fucked with your eyes a little bit when you looked at them. But because it's hard as a human, it's like your nature to just like you see a light, you're like, oh, I'm gonna look at it real quick. That's why they say don't go into the light. And so yeah, it was like dark and these fucking blue lights were everywhere. So I asked my friend who lives down there, and her mom said that it was from like it was like a support the police thing. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that still doesn't make any fucking sense because these are like black lights and it makes it look like purple. So it's really, really fucking bizarre. But yeah, a bunch of them had it. And I guess it's like a back to blue type thing. I'm like, well, it's fucking dangerous and they need to fucking take those things out. Just slap one of those fucking stupid strips on your car like everybody else. Or get some painter's tape like the really lazy fucks. I remember when I lived in Washington State, there was fucking people that would put those, it was like literally they would put the little thin blue line tape, but it would be with like painter's tape. They were too fucking cheap to like pay any money to support the cause that they were supporting. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Anyway, let's see where we're at here. I've got some more things to talk about. I should still have some stuff to talk about. Yeah. Oh, so then we went to, there was like this animal thing where you could feed the animals. There was like it was like all these big cow-looking fucking things, and like there's some llamas and fucking zebras and all types of crazy shit. So then after we went back, and you can walk around, and there's like all these families running around and shit. And so I had heard like a couple different like crazy kid names, you know what I mean? And so then it got me thinking that like there's two groups of people who have the craziest kid names. And it's like there's like crazy black baby names and then crazy white baby names. Like both of those two genres are like, and it's mostly like hippie white people, and then like I guess just generally black people. So I heard the name Horizon and the name Legend while we were at this zoo thing. Those are two different little black kid names. And then when I've been at like a hippie festival, I've heard like, all types of crazy shit. Like, like Sage and fucking Timberwolf and just fucking crazy shit. But then I've also heard like, I've been to a bowling alley one time and there was this family, and it was like, I think they were black maybe, and they had a kid named Hennessy. Like, this was no bullshit. Me and my wife still fucking do the impression. I'm pretty sure that they might have actually been white though. They might have been white trash white. I don't remember. I have to ask my wife if she remembers. But anyway, so I thought it would be like a fun game to like do like guess the name. You like put down a name and then you have to guess if it's a hippie white person or a ghetto black person. Like who named their kid this name? Horizon. Something like that. And you have to guess. But I would think that would be fun. So, anyway, that's just kind of what I was thinking. It's a little bit of what I was thinking when I heard those names. I was like, oh, that would be a perfect game because there's like two different types of people who have the wildest names. It's like black people and hippies might as well be interchangeable when it comes to naming their children. Because like, you know, you're gonna get some horizons, you're gonna get some wolf's dream, like native mist. I'm trying to think of what's like some other good kingdom would be like. So you just start naming different names. You have to be like, was that black or hippie? You know, could be the hot new game show. Somebody just took some initiative. It's obviously in the works. I mean, not in the works, but like this is just a rough idea that I'm throwing out. It'd have to be worked with more. There's got to be a little bit more nuance. You know, have to be actual names you've heard, not just made up shit. And then I was thinking about something the other day where it's like if you met me at a certain point in my life, you're like probably surprised that I'm alive. I just think about people. Just like kind of think about people because I was looking through. I forget. We put it on some channel the other day. I forget how it happened, but it was like somehow it ended up showing, or it was on. Maybe I was on my phone, and it was like it had linked to my graduation. So I was like watching my graduation a little bit, and I was like, oh, that person I think is dead. That person's dead. That person's dead. Like that person's got to be dead. It was like one of those, like, you know, there's confirmed dead, and then there's like, oh, that person's got to be dead. And I'm sure if a lot of people watched that and they didn't know that I was still alive, they would probably see that and be like, oh, that guy's definitely dead. You know what I mean? I'd be a definitely dead guy. Yeah. Hold on a second. Oh, it's not working. Never mind. Hold on a second. Anyway, so yeah, I don't remember what I was going to say. Let me just go back through. Hold on. Are you leaving? Okay. I only have like 5 more minutes. So I have like 5 more minutes. What? Sorry. It's fine. I was running out of stuff to talk about, so I'll just leave this in. All right, love you. Bye. 1:15. Okay, thank you. It's good to be back. After vacation. Anytime you go on vacation, it's like, sorry, my wife just was coming in to say bye. Yeah, it's good to be back after vacation. It's like one of those, sorry, like I couldn't live out of my car. It was one of those situations where I was just like, man, get me the fuck out of this car. This shit sucks. Literally sucks. So, glad to be back. Hold on. Let me just make sure. What was I just talking about? Oh, yeah, I know I have one more thing to talk about. So, there's got to be like a page dedicated to this. I should look this up before I just start talking about it. But so when I first started reselling, I came across these plush Beethoven dolls. I don't know if you remember the movie Beethoven. And if you didn't know what Beethoven was and you just saw these dolls, you'd just be like, oh, these are just some fucking like old kids dog dolls. So I got like a full kind of set of them. Not full set, but I got like 4 of them. And there was like a girl dog that had the tags. It was beat up tags, but it still had the tag. But the body, everything was in good shape. And so I sold it online. And it sold instantly for whatever asking price I was asking. So I was like, huh. I was like, that was weird. So I just randomly found another one. So I increased the price by like $25 or something like that, $30. That one sold instantly. So I was like, what the fuck? So then I get a message like, hey, I collect this specific dog doll. And it was like from the Beethoven movie. It was the girl dog with the pink bow, I'm pretty sure, if I remember correctly. He's like, I pay any price for that doll. So I found another one, and I fucking jacked the price up again. I don't know how I found like 3 of these just randomly. I haven't found one since. And I sold that one to him for like, it started at like, I think 40. Then I went to like 70. Then I went to like 125 or something like that. And he bought it. So, yeah, if I ever find another one, I know exactly what to do with it. Put it back up. So anyway, I found a couple of those at the thrift store before when I went to drop off the stuff at the thrift store. I used my discount code on a couple of those things. I can't wait to get to listing all this shit. I have so much stuff to take pictures of. But I have to go do my taxes right after this. I don't have to go anywhere. I just have to do them here. To just clear this stuff off the table and then do them right on the table. But it's just a matter of sitting down and doing them. It's such a fucking... It's not even like a hassle. It's just tedious. And I know it's only going to take me like an hour. But I need to get this done, and then I've got a little bit of homework. My school's been going well, not great, just well. I mean, it's been going fine. I mean, I've been doing well. I just, it just takes up so much time. You know what I mean? I didn't expect, I'm like, dude, I'm glad I don't have to drive there, and I hope I don't have to start driving there. But it does. It just takes up so much time, but hopefully it's worth it. I mean, I don't really know what my plan is to do with it. I just figured I'd take the opportunity while I had it and get in there and get fucking done with it. So it's pretty easy. It's just time consuming. That's all. But now I'm like into a rhythm where I'm just like, all right, like I just, you kind of know how the class goes after a couple classes. You're like, oh, this is pretty straightforward. So make sure I got through all my fucking things. The only other thing I'll say real quick, there was a really bizarre ad me and my wife saw, and it said like little girls only yard sale. But it was like supposed to be for like little girl stuff, but it had a random picture, like video of little girl dancing, and then it was like little girls only yard sale. It was just very poorly worded. And I showed my wife, I was like, this is uncomfortable. And she's like, yeah, this is pretty creepy. So anyway, that's the podcast. If you like it, make sure you subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Perry Flips with a Z, X, Podhead Picker, Flips and Giggles on eBay, on Depop, and on Facebook. So thanks again for listening to the podcast. And check back again next week. Bye.